All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks, my weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. Now, last night, I didn't get started on the right foot. I picked the Vikings to go on the road and defeat the Los Angeles Rams, but that was not the case, as these Rams, with veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford and head coach Sean McVay, are proving to be a very resilient bunch. And for the Minnesota Vikings, after winning their first five of the season, they have now dropped their last two. But with that said, we have a slew of games on tap for Sunday as well as the Monday night affair. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 8 in this NFL season. They got the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And for Cincinnati, they come into this contest favored by 2.5 points at home, and they are also looking for their first victory of the season at home. It's been a hard start for the Bengals. They lost their first four, they've won their last three, and now they're looking to get back to the 500 mark this season. On the flip side, for the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe they found their groove last week as well, as it appears they had a get right game in their 28-3 win over the New York Giants. I look at both of these teams. They got Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia, and of course Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. But nonetheless, I think this game is going to be defined by the run games. Which team is going to be able to get their ground attack going first? And then on top of that, which quarterback is going to be able to protect the football? I think this has the makings to be one of the better games of Sunday. Cincinnati is a 2.5 point favorite at home over Philadelphia. I'm going to take them by 4 in this one, 27-23. Now in Cleveland, you've got the 1-6 Browns hosting the 5-2 Baltimore Ravens. And after dropping their first two of the season, Baltimore has been rolling. They come into this contest favored by 8.5 points over the Browns. And you look at this Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And at the end of the day, give the ball to King Kong Henry and get out of his way. All right. Of course, no more Deshaun Watson at quarterback for Cleveland. He's been lost for the season due to an Achilles injury. Head coach Kevin Stefanski is going with veteran quarterback Jameis Winston in this one. I think that the Browns offense will play a little bit better in this game with Jameis Winston under center. However, they've got a tiger by the tail in this one. Baltimore's favored by 8.5. They're rolling. I'm going to take the over on that one. I'm going to take the Ravens by the score of 34-17. Now you got the Detroit Lions with a record of 5-1 hosting the 1-5 Tennessee Titans. And for the Lions, they come into this game favored by 11 points. And in recent years, where we have seen teams be double-digit favorites in NFL games, more often than not, they do not cover. I think the Lions are going to have to work for this win. I'm going to pick them to win. But I think the Lions do see the sense of urgency due to the fact that they're looking back and saying, hey, Minnesota just lost last night. Let's try to get an additional game ahead of them in the standings, because this NFC North is going to be very contentious this season between the Bears, Packers, Vikings, and Lions. This is a must-win game, if you will, for the Lions. I think they take care of their business. So I'm going to take Detroit to pull away late by the score of 31-17. Now in South Florida, it's the return of Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins as they host the Arizona Cardinals. And if you've watched the Dolphins without Tua, and honestly, even with Tua, their offense was really not there this season. However, Tua gives them a much better option at quarterback than his replacements. I think the biggest beneficiaries of the return of Tua at quarterback for Miami are going to be wide receivers Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, because I think now they can get it out of second gear, if you will, and really show what they can do. For Arizona, they've been a gritty bunch this season, and you really can't count them out. However, a short week, traveling cross country to have a 1 o'clock game. Remember, the Chargers The Chargers and Cardinals had the second game on Monday night this past Sunday. Not really scheduling guys were really not good to Arizona in this one. Nonetheless, I'm going to take Miami at home by the score of 24-20. Now in Foxborough, you've got the 2-5 New York Jets taking on the 1-6 New England Patriots. And for Gang Green, wow, they need a get right game, and maybe this is it because one of their two wins this season already has come against New England. You've got the veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. You got so much talent around him, but this team has to answer the bell. What can you say about the New England Patriots? As good as it was for so long, is as bad as it is right now for this organization as they're trying to find their footing. And I think the Jets will not feel sorry for New England come Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to take the Jets by 2 touchdowns in this one, 27-13. Now, a big one in the NFC South. I know it's lost some of its luster, but nonetheless, you still got first place on the line between the Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both of these teams come in with a record of 4-3. We've already seen the Falcons beat the Bucks earlier this year in a thriller. And of course, a lot of things changed very quickly for Tampa Bay. You go back to last Monday night, they lost both of their top receivers. Chris Godwin is now out for the year, and Mike Evans is going to be out for quite some time with that hamstring injury. So if you're Baker Mayfield at quarterback, who do you go to? And it's one of those, even with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, you got the double dosage. You got the good Baker in one moment, and then you got the bad Baker as far as throwing the interceptions. I look at Atlanta right now, and I think this team is tailor made for a guy like Kirk Cousins to get them to the postseason. I think this game right here goes a long way in doing that because that means they would have swept the three-time defending NFC South champions and, of course, own the tiebreaker. Atlanta's favored by 2.5 in this one. I'm going to take them by 11. I'm going to take the Bucks by the score of 31-20. Now, staying in the state of Florida, all three Florida teams are home this Sunday, but nonetheless, you got the 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars who are finally home. They played the last couple of weeks over in England, and they're going to be hosting the 5-2 Green Bay Packers. Green Bay comes into this contest favored by 4.5 points. They just got the big walk-off win last week at home against the Houston Texans. And the bottom line is this: talent level, it's not even comparable between the teams as far as the Jaguars looking up to the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay, we saw them make a deep run into the postseason last year, and I think they could do it again. And I think that the building blocks week by week are getting better and better for this Packers team. I expect them to click in all cylinders of the game. And thus, I'm going to take Green Bay by the score of 34-20. Now, I know that it's late October, but this is basically the AFC South, the de facto AFC South championship game right here. You got the 5-2 Texans hosting the 4-3 Colts. Of course, these two teams met in week number one. Houston won in Indianapolis. And of course, a win right here by the Texans would give them the tiebreaker over the Colts. And on top of that, in the division with Tennessee and in a division with Jacksonville, nobody's going to test the Texans if the Colts do not get them in this game. The Colts lost that, pardon me, the Texans rather lost that tough one last week on the road against Green Bay. And I think they're going to get back to playing some Texans football, getting after you defensively, and also putting it in the hands and the arm of their young phenom at quarterback and C.J. Stroud. Anthony Richardson at quarterback for the Colts continues to be a project. Excuse me. He's a guy who can make the easy throws look bad or hard, and he can make the hard throws look easy. But the Colts just need him to play within the realm of the game. However, this is not the team or the defense that you want to try to get the kinks out with against. Houston is favored by 5 in this one at home. I'm going to take them by 10 as I'm going to take the Texans by the score of 27-17. Now at SoFi, you've got the 3-3 Los Angeles Chargers hosting the 2-5 New Orleans Saints. And for the Chargers, they lost a heartbreaker on Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals, and they're looking to get back on track. As far as New Orleans goes, what can I say? After that 2-0 start, it has unraveled very quickly. It's, again, no Derek Carr at quarterback. They're going with Spencer Rattler. I don't like his chances going up against this Chargers defense. For me, if you're a fantasy owner and you got the Chargers defense, you might want to start them in this one. I think the Chargers are going to do it with their defense, and I think they're going to do it with their ground game. Los Angeles is favored by 7 in this one. I'm going to take the Lightning Bolts by 13, though, 30-17. Now, in the Pacific Northwest, you've got the 5-2 Buffalo Bills making the trek to take on the 4-3 Seattle Seahawks. And for Seattle, after winning their first 3 games of the season, they dropped their next 3 before they looked like a much different football team last week on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. You look at this Buffalo Bills team. And at the end of the day, it all centers around Josh Allen at quarterback. And I think everybody, feeds off of what he brings to the table. I like the addition of Amari Cooper at wide receiver. He's a guy that's going to go out there and handle his business. And I think he comes up uh, big in this game for Buffalo. And I think as the weeks progress, you're going to see more and more of that connection between Josh Allen and Amari Cooper. Buffalo's favored by 3 in this one. The over-under is 46 and a half. I'm going to take the Bills by the score of 24-22. Now, in the Mile High City, you've got the 4-3 Denver Broncos hosting the 1-6 Carolina Panthers. The Broncos come into this game favored by 10 and a half points. And this is another one of those contests where I'll say it like this. For the Broncos, if you have their defense, okay, in fantasy football, I think you want to start them right here because this Broncos defense, for the most part this season, has been balling out. On top of that, I really don't see the Panthers being able to do that much, especially as it looks like they're going back to Bryce Young at quarterback this week due to the car accident with Andy Dalton. The over under is 40 and a half. Like I said, Denver's favored by 10 and a half, and I'm going to take the Broncos in this one by the score of 30-17. Now, in the AFC West at Allegiant Stadium, you got the 2-5 Las Vegas Raiders hosting the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City comes into this contest favored by 9.5 points over their age-old rivals from the old days in the AFL. You look at this season, and it looks like it's steamrolling towards another bad year for the Silver and Black, while on the other side, it's steamrolling to another deep playoff run for Kansas City. We just saw this Kansas City team pick up wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins this week from the Tennessee Titans. I guarantee you that head coach Andy Reid is going to have some packages available for him in this game. You look at the quarterback woes for the Vegas Raiders. They're going to put up a spirited effort, yes, under head coach Antonio Pierce, but putting up the effort and lacking the talent of the Kansas City Chiefs are 2 different things. And I expect Kansas City to double up the Raiders come Sunday by the score of 34-17. Now, it could be a battle of the top 2 picks from this year's NFL draft as the Chicago Bears are going to set to take on the Washington Commanders. We know that quarterback Jaden Daniels is week to week with that rib injury that he suffered last week against the Carolina Panthers. But on the flip side for the Bears, their offense is starting to get it going. They're coming off of their bye. And then on top of that, this defense has been balling out for head coach Matt Eberflus. I think as the games and the weeks progress, rookie quarterback Caleb Williams is really starting to get his sea legs for the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears, I know that the Commanders are rolling right now, but not having a healthy Jaden Daniels is going to set them back in this one. And I'm going to take Chicago by the score of 27-17. Now, on Sunday night, it's that age-old NFC rivalry as you got the 3-3 Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the 3-4 San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams are perennial playoff contenders. Both of these teams are expected to once again be in the postseason, but both of these teams need to find a way to get a win. It's been an up and down start for both of these teams. Which one will answer the bell? Both of these clubs are dealing with a lot of injuries. No Michael Parsons again for Dallas. Same could be said for DeMarcus Lawrence. And then, of course, we know that Brandon Ayuk has now been lost for the season at wide receiver for San Francisco. They're also still without the services of Christian McCaffrey. But when you think about the Niners and Cowboys in recent years, it boils down to a couple of different things. The Cowboys defense simply cannot stop the 49ers running game. And B, the Cowboys cannot stop the pressure that the 49ers defense is able to put on their quarterback, Dak Prescott. I think that recipe continues in this one. The 49ers are favored by 4.5, but I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take San Francisco by one in this one by the score of 20-19. And finally, on Monday night, you got the 5-2 Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the 2-5 New York Football Giants. Pittsburgh comes into this game favored by 6 at home. Their offense looked a lot different and more crisp. To my surprise, I'm okay with saying I was wrong about that, as they made the switch from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson at quarterback. Even with that said, the bottom line is if Pittsburgh can establish the line of scrimmage with their run game, it sets up everything else. This is another one of those games. If you have the Steelers' defense in fantasy football, definitely start them because the Giants have so many issues on offense. And unfortunately, if for Big Blue, it starts with the quarterback position and Daniel Jones. I don't expect Daniel Jones and the Giants offense to get on track this week. We saw them look bad last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, and now they have to face the Steelers defense. And I guarantee you, Philadelphia saw that game tape from last Sunday, and they're going to try to run the football a lot with the likes of Najee Harris. Pittsburgh is favored by 6 at home. The over under in this contest is 36.5. I'm going to take Pittsburgh by 11 at home over the Giants by the score of 24-13. And that's going to do it, folks. As those are my picks for week number 8 in this NFL season. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. If you like what you saw and heard on this podcast, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying thanks once again, and enjoy that wonderful NFL action this weekend. Be well, everybody.